true identity of the Pharaoh of the Exodus. A weird and unsolved story. One of the most debated mysteries in history is the true identity of the Pharaoh of the Exodus, the Egyptian ruler who Moses is said to have confronted and refused to let the Israelites go. Despite many theories, there remains no clear answer as to who he really was. Here are some possible answers and the strange aspects of this mystery. Who was the Pharaoh of the Exodus? According to the book of Exodus in the Bible, an unnamed Pharaoh enslaved the Israelites and refused to let them go despite 10 plagues inflicted by God. Ultimately, his army is said to have drowned in the Red Sea while pursuing the Israelites. However, there is no direct evidence in ancient Egyptian records to support this event. As a result, many scholars have attempted to determine who the Pharaoh is based on the possible timeline of the Exodus, which is usually estimated to have occurred between the 15th and 13th centuries BCE. Possible pharaohs of the Exodus: Thutmose III, 1479 to 1425 BCE. One of the most powerful pharaohs of the 18th dynasty of Egypt, noted for his extensive conquests, which may fit the description of a tyrannical king in the Bible. However, there is no evidence that he or his army drowned in a major disaster. Amenhotep II, 1427 to 1401 BCE. A cruel ruler who may fit the story of the oppression of the Israelites. Some theories suggest that he may have been the Pharaoh of the Exodus due to some missing dates in his reign that may indicate a disaster. Ramses II, 1279 to 1213 BCE. The most popular candidate, especially since the Bible mentions Pi-Ramesses, the capital of Egypt at this time. Many of his statues and inscriptions show his pride and refusal to surrender, similar to the depiction of the Pharaoh of the Exodus. However, there is also no evidence that he drowned in a major tragedy. Merneptah, 1213 to 1203 BCE. The son of Ramses II, mentioned in the Merneptah Stele as a king who waged war against Israel. However, it is also unclear whether he was the Pharaoh of the Exodus or whether the Israel in his inscription refers to the same group of Israelites in the Bible. The weird part of the mystery. Why are there no Egyptian records of it? One of the biggest puzzles is the lack of any Egyptian records of the Exodus. The Egyptians were fond of recording their history, but they have no record of a series of disasters or an army drowning at sea. One possibility is that it was deliberately erased or omitted, as defeat in a major disaster was undesirable for a powerful kingdom. Could the Exodus have been different than we think? Some theories suggest that the Exodus was not a dramatic escape, but a gradual migration of the Israelites out of Egypt. There is evidence of a large exodus of people from Egypt, but it may have been a natural migration rather than a miraculous escape. Possible astronomical or natural explanations for the plagues. There are several scientific explanations for the 10 plagues inflicted on Egypt. The Nile turning to blood could have been caused by a red algae bloom or volcanic activity that turbidized the water. The hail and fire could have been the result of a volcanic eruption. The darkness for 3 days could have been caused by a sandstorm or smoke from an eruption. Conclusion: will the mystery remain unsolved? Although there are many theories, it remains a mystery who the Pharaoh of the Exodus really was. There are many speculations, but there is no concrete evidence to prove which of them is true. Without new evidence discovered from Egypt or Israel, this mystery could remain one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in world history.
The Exodus isn't just a biblical story. It's a haunting historical enigma buried under the sands of time. As scholars and archaeologists peel back the layers of ancient Egypt, a trail of clues begins to emerge. Suppressed papyrus scrolls, forgotten tombs, and catastrophic events wiped from history. This isn't just a story of faith. It's one of power, fear, and a desperate attempt to hide the truth. The Forbidden Chamber. Archaeologist Layla Mansour descended into an untouched tomb beneath Saqqara. Strange inscriptions lined the walls, not in traditional hieroglyphs, but Proto-Hebrew characters. They spoke of a pharaoh of fire and rebellion who waged war against a god. The mummy was missing. Only a scorched impression remained, as if consumed by divine fire. The lost papyrus of Amun. In a museum archive in Luxor, Dr. Samir Halim uncovered a document long thought to be a copy of the Book of the Dead. But hidden in its margins was a message from a scribe named Kamose. The sky turned black, and the river died. The God of the Hebrews has come. The papyrus had been intentionally misfiled under funerary texts, possibly to keep it from public knowledge. The Temple of Pi-Ramesses. In the ruins of Ramses III's capital, a strange mural was discovered, depicting a pharaoh confronting a man holding a staff that turned into a serpent. This mural had been painted over centuries ago, as if to erase the event. The Red Sea core sample. Geologist Anna Vega retrieved sediment samples from the suspected crossing site. A layer of marine clay showed high concentrations of salt and sudden freshwater disruption, possibly consistent with a tsunami or sea level disturbance around 1200 BCE. The timing coincided eerily with the reign of Merneptah. The throne room vision. Back in Cairo, Layla had a dream, so vivid it felt real. She stood in an ancient throne room as Moses raised his staff and the pharaoh, possibly Amenhotep II, cried out in defiance. The sky outside boiled black. Was it a vision or a memory buried in her bloodline? Conclusion: the cover-up that shaped history. All the evidence points to one chilling truth. There was a pharaoh who witnessed the Exodus, but his identity was deliberately erased from history. Whether out of shame, fear, or divine warning, Egypt chose silence. The Pharaoh of the Exodus may not be named in stone, but his story still echoes through dust and time. Perhaps the greatest mystery isn't who he was, but why the world tried so hard to forget him.